He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is not another shooting show and a special edition. This is basically an episode we've had in the can after I lost the first version of it, where Jeff and I don't have time to record a regular episode, and this is the episode we're putting out this week. So this is our hunting episode. It's actually definitely coming out fall 2024, because otherwise what's the point? But I'm a hunter. Jeff is not.
Correct.
And Jeff is also a Democrat, so automatically he's a bunny hugger, right?
Correct. 100%. I'd like to think of myself as Will Smith when the scene in MIB where they're shooting all the things and he just shoots the girl and he's like, well, that dude's like doing some pull-ups. Like, why would I shoot him? And like that dude over there, like he's just trying to like get some food. Like that's kind of how I look at hunting.
No, he's not. He's sneezing. He's got a tissue.
Right.
Yeah. But then there's little Jenny over there, or
with
little Tiffany
with her quantum physics books in the hood.
Books. Yeah, those are way too advanced for her. She about to start some shit. That scene is awesome.
That's how I look at hunting, because I think the term is anthropomorphize.
Anthropomorphize, where you basically give human characteristics to animals.
Correct. Until I have to deal with them, then I'm like, I want to turn you into steak.
Motherfuckers, I want to kill them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to, like, I know where Jeff comes from when it comes to hunting to a certain extent. Like, you're not anti-hunting.
Correct.
You're not against the concept of it. But the one thing you and I definitely, and you don't really have are you disinterested in hunting, or, I mean, you're disinterested in camping. I know that.
Right. I'm disinterested in camping, and like I'm not against, like, I would go on a hog hunt. I might go on a prairie dog hunt.
See, prairie dog, that's not hunting. That's just shooting.
That's more of like extermination.
Yeah,
but, like,
that's extermination.
I think, like, I would go on a hunt, but like it would have to be a bougie ass hunt, and then I would lose respect for myself.
Yeah,
and so it's a whole like self-defeating purpose. But
because I like doing it the hard way, you know, like having all my shit on my back. And I don't usually do this. I've only done it once, where I was literally like, my camp, my water, everything's on my back. I've only done that once, and I loved it and hated it at the same time. But when it comes to just like the concept of hunting, like, you sent me a video the other day of the guys flying in a helicopter, or was it a Jeep or something?
No, they were driving in a Jeep with an M240
with
Bravo.
I thought it was a minigun, but whatever.
And so they were just machine gunning like
wild hogs.
Wild hogs, and I was like, well, that's real sporting.
It's
and
not.
Like,
it's 100% not. That's just extermination. It's the same as shooting prairie dogs.
Yeah,
it's just extermination of an invasive species.
Right, and we'll get it. We might get into some of the questions around like certain like parts of hunting that I don't get, or I disagree with. But to start with, like, I'm going to be 100% honest. I've never gone hunting. My dad hunted with his dad, and then he now feeds the animals to the point where he's trying to get the deer to eat food out of his hand. Like, that's the hippies I grew up with.
Yeah. So I also strongly disagree with that as well.
Oh, I 100%. Like, I've thought about, like, all of these animals are going to.
There are a lot of consequences to that. Correct.
And so, and he also lives in an area that warps my perception of the difficulty of hunting, because he has a herd of elk across the road that just show up. Every night, somewhere between 40 and 80 turkeys come to his house, and between 5 and 15 deer.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where, like, he pulls up and they don't even run away. Like, so my perception and the whole area is just covered in animals. Like, I'll drive by and see like 10 or 15 mule deer and 10 or 15 whitetails. Like, so like the hunting aspect of hunting I have to kind of warp my perception because I'm like, you mean throw a stick off the road and hit one? Because like they're not that fucking difficult.
Yeah.
So,
And by the way, Jeff's dad lives in western Nebraska, so
yep.
that's the area he's talking about.
So we're going to start at the most basic of what is a hunting permit and how do I get one?
So it's different in every state, and I applied for a Montana elk tag this year. I'd never applied for a license in Montana ever, and it was so complicated. My friend who was going to go on the hunt with me had to literally walk me through it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so depending on... Now, if you live in Montana and it's what you grew up with, you're probably okay with it. South Dakota has its own challenges, but then they changed the system. They went from something the IT people made to we need to update this because the technology has gotten old and it's insecure when we're dealing with credit cards. And so they actually hired a vendor to handle it. So, but it also has its challenges and is a giant pain in the ass. Basically, in your own state, you'll go on your Game and Fish Agency's website, whatever it's called. A lot of states it's called DNR. Here it's called GFP. In Montana, it's like Fish and Wildlife. You'll go on the website, and in some states, depending on what you're hunting, like in Colorado, for instance, if you want to hunt elk, you must have a hunter safety number, like a card with a number on it from your home state that says, I took hunter safety.
Okay.
Now, in South Dakota, they do not require that anymore. Once you turn 12, you can apply for a big game hunting license, and you're good to go. But it's been sort of a recruitment tool to try and make it easier, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think once you're 18, you shouldn't need a hunter safety card anymore. But anyway, but you go on your state Game and Fish website, and some states you have to have the regular hunting license, and then you can apply for that big game tag like whitetail deer or mule deer or elk or whatever.
Okay.
In my state, you don't have to have the regular small game license or the basic license. I just go on and apply for the lottery for whitetail deer. And then I apply for it, and I either get it or I don't. And there's a whole rabbit hole called preference points that is... I could talk about that for an entire episode. It's such a disaster. But
Interesting.
Basically, if you apply and don't draw, then you can pay $5 for a preference point in my state. And so then instead of one entry in the drawing next year, I get 2. So then my odds are better because I didn't draw last year.
Oh, okay.
So this year I have a Black Hills whitetail tag. That is a tag you can only get every 3 years. You have to have 2 preference points to get it because of the volume of people applying. Okay. So basically, I have to strike out for 2 years, and then on the 3rd year, I can get it.
Okay. And when you have this permit, like, does it say, like, you say you have a whitetail permit, like, does it say like whitetail buck or doe? Like, is it that specific, or is it just like whitetail?
It can be. It depends. So the Game and Fish agencies, it's not just like, here's your tag because you paid us money and now we'll let you go kill something. It isn't that way. They are trying, and some states are better than others at figuring out how many animals need to be culled every year or killed or whatever euphemism you want, to help maintain the population at a healthy level. Right. And a lot of times that is managed with the killing of does or females because they're the ones that make baby deer or baby elk. So, like for instance, in South Dakota, they have done away with antelope doe tags because the numbers dropped after a couple of harsh winters. So all of the antelope licenses are now buck only. And so it is literally a management tool for the Game and Fish agencies in states. What was the original question? Oh, what do the tags mean? So, there are, like, the other place I have a deer license this year in my state in Union County, I have an any deer tag. So that means I can shoot any deer that I see.
Okay.
Now, mule deer do not live in the near where I live. Union County is just like 30 miles south of me right now.
Okay.
Mule deer don't live here. If a stray mule deer were to happen to get over here and I shot it, I could shoot it. That would be perfectly legal. On the western half of the state where there are lots of mule deer, it gets more specific. So my Black Hills tag is for, I have an any whitetail tag.
Okay.
So I can shoot any whitetail deer. So I can either shoot a buck or a doe. It's up to me. But I have also in the past had an any whitetail antlerless deer, meaning any whitetail deer without antlers I can shoot.
Okay, so you can kill like young ones or ones of,
As long as they don't have antlers.
as long as they don't have antlers.
And the antler cannot be longer than the ear, which usually the first year they grow antlers, by the time the fall rolls around, they're longer than the ear. So
Gotcha. So with the permit, so like, okay, so you go to Union County, you see your deer, you shoot it. Do you like have to like put the permit with the like? Do you like tie the permit to the deer? Or do you just like hold on to it so that like if a game warden comes by?
You have to attach it to it. Yeah, every state I think pretty much requires you to attach it to the animal.
Okay.
Because you're gonna have to transport that animal. Now, for the most part, East River, South Dakota, where I live, you pretty much you gut the deer where it falls and then you haul the deer away because it's usually pretty cold, at least for the firearm season. If you're archery hunting, you need to get the hide off quicker because that's like a meat care thing.
Okay.
Animals are hot, like they're warm. They're warm blooded. They're warm blooded mammals. So the longer the hide is on the animal, the longer the meat stays warm. Well, once it dies, meat is starting to decay right away. So
Right.
you want to get it cooled down as soon as possible. So the only warm weather animal I've ever shot was an antelope or pronghorn in western South Dakota, and it took me 2 hours to get it on ice, but I had the guts out and the hide off within 45 minutes of killing it.
Okay.
And antelope is an animal that gets a bad rap about, oh, they're sagey, they taste bad. No, that's usually people who do a shitty job of field care with the meat. They didn't get it cooled down right away because most antelope seasons, their breeding season is in October, and it can be quite warm in October, in the western U.S. So depends on what the weather is. But yeah, once...
So going back to the question. So
yeah, I forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So once you've butchered the animal, do you have to keep the permit like
yes
with it or like,
yes? Like the requirement in my state is it has to be either attached to the antler if it has antlers or on one of the legs. Like
So-
it's a big sticker you wrap around the leg or antler.
Okay, and so like in the case that you're describing, like the hunt you were saying where you like carried everything in, carried everything out, like do you take like a picture on your phone and then when you've got the like 200 pounds of meat that like the game warden walks up and you're
I
like,
had to do this with an elk 2 years ago.
okay,
Elk is a big fucking animal. It's like a horse laying on the ground. Like they're big.
yep,
So yes, when I killed my elk, I attached the tag to, and it was a cow elk. I was an antlerless elk tag that I had. So I attached the tag to the leg, and I actually had to look up the regulation because I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Because I'd never shot an elk before. Is it different? And it was still the same. I just had to attach it to one of the hindquarters.
okay,
And then hauled out but I had to make 3 trips to haul this whole fucking thing out. Like they're fucking big and they're heavy.
Right.
So on my first trip out, I hauled out the back straps and one of the front legs. And because I still had all the rest of my stuff in my backpack plus my rifle, so that's all I wanted to carry out. So then I carried that the 3 miles through up and down hills and snow, got the meat in the cooler, and then got rid of my rifle. That's when I put my pistol on. I didn't even have a pistol on until that point. And on my way out, I heard coyotes yipping over in the area of where my elk was. And I was like, oh shit. But luckily they didn't mess with my elk. And then go back in. And then I hauled out gosh, I don't remember. I think I hauled out the other front leg and one of the hindquarters, and the back legs are fucking heavy. But anyway, one of those legs had the tag on it, but I also kept the other part of my license that still had the information on it. It just didn't have the sticker tag part.
Okay.
Because I can't have that with me the whole time I'm just packing it out.
Right.
But like once I transport it in a vehicle, then I got to have like all of the animal and the tag there.
Right.
For actual transport. Like the pack out, they'll give you a pass on like, well, the tag is on the hindquarter that's in the cooler.
Right.
You know, but that's why I made sure I kept the rest of the license on me.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. So moving on past the permit, what does the term ethical kill mean? Like, well, let's keep it. Let's keep it in the whitetail arena because
Okay.
I know we can go down like 18 different rabbit holes. But okay, so we're hunting whitetail, and I'm about to shoot it, and you tell me, okay, make sure it's an ethical kill. What does that mean?
That means the animal will die as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And the way that can be achieved is it can be done in different ways. The standard way of shooting a deer would be to aim right behind the shoulder. So that way you're putting the lungs in a deer are quite large.
Okay.
So if you put a high-powered rifle bullet through a deer, you're going to poke holes in both lungs, and they're going to bleed out in their chest very quickly. And they tip pretty much every deer I've shot through both lungs died within 30 seconds.
Okay.
Or it was down within 30 seconds, whether or not it was dead. But, and sometimes that kill is not pretty. You know, you get it, but it's not quite, you know, you shoot one lung, but the other one's okay. So then it takes a little longer and you can actually see them still trying to breathe. And it's, you know, like I don't want it to suffer.
Right.
You know, I'm not doing it because I'm mean. But
So it's the action of taking a shot that you know will
you can make.
and so this equation has all the factors: distance, placement of shot, caliber, blah 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 blah, or even like do you account for like where they are in the field? So like if I know you never intend to miss like the lung, will you take the shot if the deer is standing like next to the tree line, or would you prefer to take it where it's like in the middle of the field?
Oh, okay. Meaning like I can only recover it before the tree line? Like private ground? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I guess I'm more referring to like you hit it, but it doesn't go down immediately and it takes off into the tree line. Do you account for that when you're planning this, or is it more like an opportunity thing?
Usually, if it's a shot at distance, I'm always going for the behind the shoulder shot.
Okay.
Because it's a big fat target. It's like basically 10 inches. You put a 10-inch bullseye behind a deer's shoulder. You put it anywhere in there, it's going to die relatively quickly.
Okay.
Now, if I'm closer, or another very ethical shot is a neck shot, like basically dead center of the neck. You know, like top to bottom and from shoulder to head. If you like that intersection right in the center of the neck is a great spot to shoot a deer because the shockwave of the bullet going through the neck will paralyze the deer.
Okay.
Just the shock trauma to the spinal cord, it'll drop, and then it's also severed a bunch of blood vessels through there and their ability to breathe. So they die very quickly, very humanely through the neck. Now, headshots, some will argue a headshot is the way to go. And I would say if you're that good, okay. Sure. Especially on a doe, because like I don't hunt deer for antlers, but if I shoot a big giant buck with big cool antlers, like I'm gonna have the skull mounted with the antlers on it, you know,
right?
Like not because it's like look what I killed. It's more of the memory of the adventure. Like the biggest buck I've ever shot, I'm so glad, was with my dad. You know, and so like that deer means so much to me. But as far as like the shot placement goes, it's very dependent on the situation. But for the most part, yeah, right through the lungs is the way to go. I shot a deer that was 10 feet from a fence line with private ground, and I'm on public ground. I could not recover the deer on the other side of the fence without permission, and that's a giant pain in the ass. So I wanted to make sure I anchored this thing, and I was close enough. I was only like 100 yards away. It was a very viable neck shot. So I shot it through the neck. It dropped right where it was and bled out, and it was done.
Okay.
So
following along the ethical conversation and sticking to whitetail mule deer in general, what is an ethical cartridge and firearm? Like if I'm going on my first hunt, but I got $1,000 in the bank, I'm going to buy a new rifle I'm going to buy a new gun to go hunt a deer in South Dakota with you. What would you recommend I buy? Like, what's the minimum? What do you recommend?
Jesus. Pretty much anything bigger than 223 would be okay for a deer. You know, like 243 and above.
Okay.
You know, like a, and I'm leaving out some of the. I don't live in a straight wall rifle cartridge state, so I'm not up on those. Like Iowa, Minnesota, they have to shoot either slug shotguns or straight wall cases or whatever.
350 Legend, and 450 SOCOM.
That sort of stuff. So I don't really. I mean, they're not bad rifle cartridges, but they're better up close,
right?
Like
and,
within 100 yards or so.
Right, and not get into the weeds of it too much. Yeah.
No.
So 243.
243 and above. Well, yeah, 243 up to 300 Win Mag. Sure.
Okay, and do you care bolt action, semi-auto, lever? Like, is it just
a bolt action is easier to deal with?
Okay.
I hunted with an M1A, which is a 308, and it's a great caliber for deer. 308 is a fantastic caliber for deer, but the bolt's really loud. There's only one way to load an M1A, and that's pull the charging hand or the operating rod all the way back and let go, and it goes ka-shing! Makes a bunch of fucking noise. So a bolt action rifle, I don't even have a round in the chamber when I'm walking out to where I'm going.
Right. For that extra level of safety.
Yeah, because I'm not shooting anything. Well, and if I see something, I will have time to load the chamber.
And there are so many stories you hear about.
Oh, God, so many, even in just my state. Yeah.
Yeah. Every state, every year, guy puts rifle on tree. Well, my Muay Thai coach, I think he was finishing off an animal, but he shot himself in the chest and ended his Muay Thai career.
Oh, wow.
He was a
pistol or a rifle?
Rifle. I want to say it was like a 22. Like, I think he was like hunting rabbits or something, hit it, forgot that the rounds in there, shot himself in the chest. But yeah, the amount of stories, guy leans rifle on fence posts, climbs over fence, rifle falls, shoots him. It's insane.
Yeah.
So, keeping with the cartridge, so I'm getting a 243 bullet wise. Can I just use an FMJ? Should I? Okay. What bullet should I be getting?
I think almost every state requires an expanding bullet.
Okay.
Do not, although there are places on the internet that will tell you it's okay, do not use a match bullet. Use a hunting bullet.
Okay.
Match bullets crumple when they hit stuff. Now, our Navy SEALs and other special forces have put a lot of people in the ground with 77 Sierra Match Kings. This is true. However, when you're shooting at an animal, sometimes that Sierra Match King will do the job fantastically. Sometimes it doesn't do shit. It just pokes a little tiny hole in them, and they don't bleed very much. Especially with a smaller caliber. If it was like a 30 caliber Match King, yeah, it's probably still going to die. But hunting bullets are hunting bullets because they're hunting bullets. They're meant to make They're designed to cause damage.
Yep.
Or a combination of penetration and damage. Like, for instance, the old Hornady Interlock. It's just a lead soft point bullet. Okay? millions of deer have been killed with a Hornady interlock.
Okay.
It's got a crimp in the copper into the lead to kind of hold it all together, just mechanically. And it's not bonded, but it's mechanically hanging onto the lead, so it penetrates deeper and it expands and it causes more damage. You've seen the shockwave in ballistic gel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the bigger and tougher the animal, the tougher the bullet you need. So I'm getting into the weeds here. Buy ammunition that is meant for hunting. 100%.
Okay, Nate. So you got the Hornady interlock. Give me 2 more. Like I'm going to Cabela's. I'm getting a box of 243. Like what other
Actually,
brand?
I would suggest some. If you're shooting a deer, like, okay, I kind of shit on 6.5 Creedmoor for elk, but for deer, it's fucking great.
Okay.
Like fucking great. Let's say you're getting a 6.5 Creedmoor. Let's just jump on the bandwagon. Okay. Go get yourself something with Nosler ballistic tips. Or even I like ballistic tips for deer. The bonded version of that is called the what is it? I gotta look at it. I can't believe I can't think of it. I can't think of what it's called, but it's the bonded version of the ballistic tip. I can't think of what it's called. Basically, they pour the lead into the jacket molten, and then it like chemically bonds to the jacket of the copper jacket. So it holds together much better. Sierra Game King bullets are fantastic. I've shot a lot of deer with Sierra Game Kings. Okay. I killed my elk with a Sierra Game King. Hornady ELD-X is the hunting version of their long range bullet. Not the match, not the ELD match bullet. The ELD-X is the one you would want there. But like Hornady also makes an SST, which is like a super shock or something like that. Like they expand a lot faster. So sort of like a varmint bullet that explodes. It doesn't literally explode. It just expands so fast that it just does devastating damage, but it doesn't penetrate real deep.
Okay.
That's what that bullet does. Those are great on deer. I shot a deer with one of those once.
Okay. So the basically just go and find hunting specific
pretty much anything's fine. If it's meant for hunting, it'll be fine.
Right. And I googled 6.5 Creedmoor hunting ammunition, and they literally just say whitetail 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah,
like
there's
they
a
have
bazillion SKUs.
They most of the companies just have like it's just on the box like normal whitetail or Varmint Express.
No, varmint you would not want to use on big game.
Okay, so that one's for the small guys.
That would be for like coyotes. And the idea with varmint bullets, if you're hunting coyotes and you want to save the pelt, the bullet enters and basically grenades inside and does not exit.
Oh, interesting.
Now, there's another tactic people will use if they're going to take the hide from a coyote to like sell the pelt, is they'll shoot an FMJ.
Yep.
Because that will minimize damage to the pelt. And like a 308 FMJ will do a shitload of damage to a coyote. Now, like in South Dakota, you have to use expanding bullets for hunting, but I don't think those rules apply to the varmints and predators.
Right, because all the rules are different.
Yeah.
So
I could be wrong about that though.
Right, but keeping up with the ammunition, do you think people over focus on perfecting the hand load?
Yes, and I'm one of them. I'm 100% guilty of it. And I have a quick anecdote to explain. The first time I went antelope hunting, both me and my buddy Ben shot antelope. He shot. We both had double tags. This is before that big winter that killed a bunch of antelope. We had a buck doe tag. I got the worst migraine ever when I shot my antelope. So I felt it was so bad. Like the next day, I still felt sick, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about shooting another antelope. Like I don't want to. So we both filled our buck tag the first day, and I shot mine at it was at 312 yards.
Okay.
It was a good poke. He shot his at about 225 or so. But then when he shot his doe, it was at 344 yards. Now, I was shooting a 30-06 with Nosler ballistic tips, and I had trickled in the exact amount of powder of Reloader 22, or pardon me, Reloader 19, and
Okay.
I had the Federal large rifle primers, and they were all seated perfectly, and all the brass was exactly the right length. And yes, I shot my antelope at 312 yards, right where I was aiming. My buddy Ben was shooting a 270 short mag, and he bought Remington Core-Lokt off the shelf at Shields, and he didn't even re-zero his rifle for the new ammo. And he killed that antelope at 344 yards. So do people... Now, I would have double-checked the zero to make sure the zero is the same.
100%.
But what that demonstrates, though, is he had a great rifle, great scope, and good ammo. You're just trying to hit a pie plate at 300 yards.
Right.
You don't have to hit a quarter at 300 yards.
Right.
So, yes, to answer your question, people spend way too much time on that, 100%.
Okay.
But I learned that from my dad, so that's what I do.
Right. Right.
And my dad's ammo was fucking good, let me tell you. Like, it was dialed in. Like, he had it dialed.
Yeah. So going back to the actual hunt. So you've taken your deer. What is
You're skipping over the best part, though, Jeff.
What's that?
The hunt.
Oh, we're going to get to part of the part of the hunt. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm going over the logistics to start with. So
Okay.
So I've got my gun. I'm planning out like how am I going to process the meat? What is meat processing?
That is very different for everybody, and I tend to not. I don't frown on people who pay to have it all done. I like to make sure I have, at least when it comes to the big cuts, that I'm getting my deer back or
Okay.
elk, especially an elk, because elk is like the Cadillac. It's the greatest wild game meat there is, I think.
Okay.
And lots of people would agree with me. It's a unique flavor. I butcher my own deer, and it's basically I'm just getting the meat off the bone, and I'm leaving them in the very large muscle. I mean, not the whole muscle group, but I'm taking each individual roast off the hindquarters, and wrapping those up in plastic wrap and then freezer paper and taping them up, and then I put them in my deep freeze.
Okay.
The meat that is not ideal for roasts or steaks, like the front legs, are not great. Now you can save those and make like ossobuco, with the shanks, the front legs. You got the bone-in steaks there. As long as you do them low and slow, that's a thing you can do. I'm not into that, so
Okay.
I take all that meat off. Like the neck meat is not real great in and of itself, although some people do neck roasts, but that's all my grind meat, and I turn all that into burger. So I will take that to a processor and have them grind it because they can do it way faster than I can, and it's not
Right.
expensive. So
So as I'm going on my first hunt, but I'm going by myself. I can just take this deer, put it over my shoulder, carry it to the car, and take it to someone, and
you can, yes. Now, in my part of the country right now, butchering services are, because of the price of beef, the butchers are really busy. And some of them won't even take unbutchered animals for processing, meaning they won't process the whole deer. Like, you're going to have to gut it in the field at minimum.
Okay.
Now, there is also the gutless method where you're going to take all the meat off the animal, put it in bags, and then pack it out and leave, like, the spine and guts in the animal,
Okay.
because you're taking all the meat off of it otherwise.
Right.
That works okay if it's cold out. If it's warm out, that's a terrible idea. Like, don't do that. You want to get the guts out as soon as possible because the heat ruins meat.
Okay.
As far as but if it's a cold November day, you shoot a deer, you gut it, which is really gross. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. I'm not even.
I'm not
good
gonna
at
lie.
it.
That's kind of the biggest part that I don't want to do. Is
100%.
I have no problem with the
100%.
killing. It's the cut up afterwards that I'm not about.
As long as you help me, if you and I go deer hunting sometime, as long as you help me, like, you know, keep the deer upright while I'm trying to get the guts out, like, I'll gut the deer for you, and show. It's not complicated, but it's not easy, you know. Because that diaphragm just fucking hangs on. God damn it, it's terrible. and a bloody trachea is really hard to pull all the guts out with.
Okay.
But and people who have shot deer know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you get the guts out, you could leave the hide on if it's a cold day, and then haul it in the back of a pickup to a butcher, and then they will process it. That just bringing that alone is the first charge is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 to just get the hide off and deal with all that. And then taking all the meat off the bone. And then it's like, what are you going to do with it? You know, steaks, roast, whatever. Then you just tell them what you want. And then there will be more processing charges on top of that.
Okay. So we now I know how I'm going to process it. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the hunt. Like,
okay. This is the best part.
Right. So like the core that I want to know is like, why is it fun? Like what drives you? What tell me about the experience.
Okay. I grew up hunting like Eastern style U.S. hunting. South Dakota is a really unique place. And actually, let me rephrase. South Dakota is fucking terrible. You don't want to move here. It's awful. It's absolutely the toilet of the United States. Don't move here.
Can confirm.
Okay. So, but I love it and I'm never leaving. South Dakota is a unique state. We literally have everything except moose. Like if you're a South Dakota resident, you can hunt anything you want. We do not issue out-of-state elk tags. You have to be a resident to get an elk tag, and it's really hard to get one because there are not a ton of elk in South Dakota. So, but there is a fair amount. But we're really geographically, we're like 3 states. So like where I live, where you've been the most, is pretty much like Iowa, like Northwest Iowa and Northeast Nebraska. You know, it's pretty much the same as where you live. You know, it's either flat or kind of hilly, and there's lots of corn. You know,
right?
That's where I live. When you go west of the Missouri River, now you are into rolling prairie ranch land, like where your dad lives in western Nebraska. So we've got, you know, out there, you've got big, wide open spaces. You've got much larger pieces of public land. I grew up here sitting in a cornfield waiting for a deer, or not a cornfield, but sitting in a grove waiting for a deer to walk by to shoot. That's boring as fuck, and I hate it. I'm going to do it because I have a tag for it this year, but that's just kind of how you hunt where I live. And it's the best tactic as well. It's ambush hunting. You sit in a place where deer travel and you wait for the one you want to walk by and shoot it.
Right.
Out west, and this is like true of most of the western United States, particularly elk and mule deer hunting, it's sort of spot and stalk, depending on the area. Now, the Black Hills is more like here. It's more like you have to sit in a spot because there's a lot of trees. You know, you can't see or shoot very far. So, but I love hunting the western prairie in my state. You can see forever. You can see the deer. Oh, there it is. When we shot our antelope, they were 2 miles away from us when we spotted them. And then and that's the fun part. That's why my favorite animal to hunt is antelope, because they're easy to find, because they move all day long. They don't move just in the morning and evening like deer and elk do.
Okay.
They move all the time.
Yeah.
And they sit out in wide open spaces because that's their defense. They have really good vision and they're fast as fuck. That's their defense. I can see you fucking mountain lions far away. Now I'm running away, and I'm the fastest land mammal in North America. Fuck you, mountain lion.
Right.
Okay.
That makes
but
sense.
they're hard to get close to, even with a rifle. Now, the guys that kill antelope with bows are wizards. I have so much respect for those guys. It's so hard to do. They literally will have like an umbrella thing in front of them that looks like an antelope to hide behind, and then they have to slowly creep up. You know.
Yeah.
Or they have to sit in like the perfect spot. Like that is super challenging.
I even with my limited hunting knowledge, I have mad respect for anyone who still uses a manual weapon to accomplish a hunting task because it looks hard as fuck. Like,
now, having said that though, that plays into, I don't think it's unethical, but it does what is most ethical. The very, very reliable high-powered rifle or the compound bow.
And that's where my brain kind of short circuits a little bit.
Yeah. It does for me too.
Because like I respect the idea of hunting to gather food and like do the task, blah blah. People who find like a manliness to it or like are seeking something else from it, I don't have as much respect if you're not going to do it the hard way.
Well, it depends on what the something else is. Like for me, it's adventure.
Okay, so
it's adventure and food,
right?
And I like to think adventure is okay. Like that's fine. Like that's a
Right,
more
and
primal thing.
I think that's kind of one of the places that my brain disconnects is because the walking through the hills has never been an adventure for me. Flying to another country is an adventure for me. So like I just have a different my brain works different. So but like I can understand that fun of the hunt, of the challenge, of all that stuff. Like with all that being said, like what would your dream hunt be? Like I give you I win $1 million and I say, Andy, you've been a good friend. I'm going to pay for one hunt for you to do. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. What's your dream hunt?
God, I don't. You know, some people would be able to spit this out in 5 seconds, and I'm like, God, I don't know. It would probably be in Alaska.
Okay.
I don't know what it would be. Elk or caribou or moose. And the thing is that, and the way hunting regulations work, if I was hunting one of those animals in Alaska, I would have to hire a guide, like by law.
Yep.
Like if you're not a resident of Alaska, you have to either be with an immediate family member, like a brother who is a resident there, or you have to hire a guide. So, I'm not sure exactly of the motivation of that, but whatever. It would probably be in Alaska just because it's such a crazy remote place, and that would be awesome. And probably moose or caribou, just because that's not something I can hunt anywhere near here. So,
and okay, so and that leads me to the final question I have written down. Why do people collect animals? So, like you just said there, you're going to pick a moose or a caribou because you can't shoot them at home. And I've talked with people who are like, "Oh man, I've killed whitetail, I've killed this, blah blah blah. I need a mule deer to like complete my set."
Oh no, that's not how I think about it. No.
But like, why do people like? Is it just a I've been to all 50 states kind of thing, or is it like what?
No, not for me. And for some people it is, but the reason I would choose, I would probably choose a moose over caribou, just because a moose is a giant animal with a lot of fucking meat.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to shoot another animal for another 2 years because it's so big. And like I am a meat hunter first and foremost. Like if I don't, if it's opening day, I'm going to wait for, a big giant buck. If it's getting to be the last 3 days of the season, if I see a big fat doe, I'm shooting a big fat doe. Like the antlers I don't masturbate to images of antlers like some dudes do. And there are absolutely guys who jerk off to antlers. I am convinced of it.
Yeah, again, those are
the horn porn is not for me. Like if I get the chance to shoot a big giant buck, I'm going to. Like, if there's a big giant one with big cool antlers and a little forky, I'm shooting the big giant buck.
Right.
As long as I have a license for it. And I'm going to get a Euro mount, just the skull and the antlers. That's it. And this is kind of towards the adventure part of it. Like, hunting is hard. Let me be clear. Hunting is not easy. On your dad's ranch where he's hand feeding animals, of course it's easy. He's been baiting them. He's been educating them that there's easy food here that's not dangerous. Of course it's fucking easy.
Well, and I will say it was easy before he came, like even before he moved out there.
And
like,
part of that is because it's private land where they're not harassed.
Yeah, like they're remarkably understanding of when hunting season.
Oh, they are. They 100% are. Like whitetail deer are antelope are probably the dumbest, but that's because they have the vision and the speed. They don't have to be smart. Deer are probably slightly more intelligent, but their vision really sucks, and they just sort of like, what's that? But they do, when they start getting pushed around, they will learn like, oh, I'm safe here because this is private land. They don't know it's private land. They just know there aren't a lot of people here with the loud things.
Right.
And elk are incredibly cagey. Like they, depending on the time of the month, with the moon and whatnot, like I had a Black Hills elk tag in 2018. I didn't see a single elk because they were all moving during the night when I couldn't shoot one. So, no, hunting's hard. It's not easy. There's a challenge in it. And that's what I really enjoy. Like the big giant buck I shot out in Sully County, South Dakota in 2020, it wasn't the first time I went there. I'd been hunting there since 2014. And I'd hunted there every year except for 1 year. And it took that long to learn the public land out there to how deer move around. And it's so big, you can't just know that. You have to learn it. You have to sit and observe and watch what they're doing. And I finally, after 5 years, figured out, oh, this area is like a fucking interstate for deer because they're all heading for this little chunk of private land with lots of cover over here. They like hiding out there during the day, but there's lots of food on the way there. So they have like their evening sleep, place where they hide, and then they have their daytime hangout. And that's where I'm going to sit in the middle of this open cornfield, and I'm going to wait for them to come into the low spots because they'll travel in the lowest spot. And I sit like where I can see into the two lowest spots and wait for one to come by. And that's how I got the big giant buck I got with my dad. But it took me 6 years to figure out how to do it. And that's why that one is so, not only did I shoot it and butcher it in the parking lot of the Quality Inn in Pierre with my dad, but it took me 6 years to figure that out. Right. Like that's a long time of learning and doing and watching and striking out and fucking up and learning and that's what's great about it. Okay. That's why, it's not easy.
And I think, like you said, I have two very warped perceptions on it. Is because it is so easy out by my dad.
Yeah.
Not just because he feeds them, but because it's just thick out there. And then B, I'm more exposed to like the trophy hunts that I have no respect for. That throws off.
What do you mean when you say trophy hunt?
So like the African ones where they basically drive you up to animals that have been conditioned to not react to the cars driving up to them. And then they get handed the rifle, or they like get in the back of the truck with the rifle already aimed at them. And they basically pull the trigger, and then the African porters jump out and do all the work. Like I have no respect for those people, and I would like to fight them.
Honestly, I don't either. As a hunter, now it's, for the most part, it's culling that needs to be done, but it's not hunting.
And I 100%
I'm
understand.
okay with that. It's getting killed and it's being turned into food, and like it's being done the right way. It's just like getting off on doing that is bullshit to me.
Yeah, it's always felt it.
It's a little icky.
It's one of those, like, I understand the positive, well, some of the perceived positives, because there was a very interesting article I read that the African like elephant trophy hunts were actually having the opposite effect, because the older, larger males protected the females from the like teenagers with raging hormones.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were killing all of the protectors, and then the
Yep.
raging hormone ones would come in and like hurt the women.
The
and then they were-
biologists fucked up. They didn't understand what was happening.
right. And
Yeah.
so it's again, it's interesting to hear about like the challenges, because I don't witness the challenges. Like I live next to Iowa, where they do like push hunts, where they just the former president of my club was telling me a story about being in Iowa, and his friend's dad was like, "Hey, get out of the truck and like run towards those deer and push them over the hill." And he's like, "Okay, whatever. There's 3 dudes in the car, whatever." So he pushes them over the hill, and he kind of follows to the top of the hill, and he sees 30 dudes just open up on these like 6 deer, and he hit the
Yeah.
ground. And I'm like, that's not very sporty.
No. And I mean, like, if it's 30 guys, that, like, no, it's not. Like, drive hunts, I don't have a problem with those sorts of tactics, because it's just how you have to do it there. You know, when you have lots of trees or lots of like Wisconsin's a great example. Shitloads of trees in Wisconsin. Or in a lot of the South where there's shitloads of trees. You don't need a 30-06 to shoot a deer out there, because you're not taking a shot over 100 yards probably ever.
Right.
Like, until you and I went to nationals in Alabama in 2021, I didn't realize, like, the entire South is all trees. Like, that part of the country is all fucking trees, unless they were removed to build a city or a house or whatever.
Right.
You know, otherwise there was trees everywhere. So in all the places where you would hunt, it's nothing but trees. Like, you're probably not taking a shot even with a firearm beyond 50 yards. So
Right.
when it comes to that whole, and I understand your sensitivity to it, because there's a lot of hunting I see that I also think is bullshit. And when people buy this plot of land and they're basically like training deer to come through, and you know, they plant a food plot that's basically just deer food, even though it's not technically baiting, you know, like having an actual mechanical feeder out there that rings the dinner bell like they do in Texas. Like,
Right.
a lot of Texas hunting is kind of bullshit, in my opinion.
Right.
But there's also no public land in Texas, like virtually none. So
Yep.
you can't just go. But I really prefer Western deer hunting, antelope, elk, whatever, where you spot them from a long ways away with binoculars. You work out a plan to get close to them without being seen, and hope they're still there when you get there. And that can take hours. It can take days sometimes.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, I've hunted almost every year. I think I've hunted every year since 2012,
Okay.
and I am probably batting 500.
Okay.
So, and some of that's because I was new at it and sucked, and now I'm fairly experienced and know what I'm doing, and still strike. Like last year, I struck out completely. So, yeah.
Interesting.
But like, we are a shooting show, so can we talk about the shooting part?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to ask you. That's kind of the end of my questions. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, so when it comes to shooting an animal, the hardest part is the adrenaline.
Right.
Especially if you've never done it before. Like the first time you shoot a deer, Jeff, if we ever do this, like we've sort of kind of talked about a couple of times.
Yep.
If you ever do it, even if you're just shooting a doe, I have a feeling your heart's all of a sudden going to be like
Yeah.
the adrenaline's going to flow. Like you're going to be shooting a living creature
Right.
for the first time. And it's not a little thing. And if you are emotional afterwards, I will 100% not make fun of you. Like I will entirely understand, because when I was 12 years old and I shot my first deer, I was kind of the same way. It's like I killed this thing that was just running around trying to eat and survive.
Right.
And, you know, so I was much younger and tenderhearted even then. And, you know, okay, here's another thing about the big giant buck I shot in 2020. I fucked up the shot. And
Okay.
it happens sometimes. And it's the last thing I want to do. I was so excited at how, and this buck was fucking big. I'd never seen a deer that big with a rifle in my hands before. It was huge. And I forgot that actual real life ballistics of a 30-06 do not work the way they do when you're playing Call of Duty.
Right.
You actually have to hold over. Although the newer Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you actually had to hold over with the sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But that was like the first game that ever made you do that. I was so excited I forgot, I'm 300 yards away. I need to hold over. No, I didn't. I put crosshair on shoulder and I broke its leg. I did not deliver a fatal wound on the first shot, and I felt fucking awful.
Right.
And it almost caused me to lose it. Luckily, it stopped long enough, and then I remembered, hold over. I had to run my ass off with a rifle in my hand, and I was down to... I only had to shoot twice, but the second shot went right through both lungs, and it ran another 30, 40 yards, and fortunately dropped dead 10 feet from the property line with the private ground.
Nice.
I got kind of lucky there. But, like, it will test you mentally way more than you think it will.
Okay.
Like, way more, especially when it comes time to make the shot, because you're all of a sudden going to have that adrenaline flowing. And it's just like when you're shooting a USPSA match, like, how much training and experience do you have that you'll fall back on naturally without thinking about it? You know,
Right.
what's your subconscious skill? Are you going to yank that trigger when it's time to press the trigger, or are you going to gradually press it the way you practiced? And sometimes you have to go now. And that's one thing being a USPSA shooter. I don't jerk the trigger and fuck up shots because I'm yanking the trigger like an asshole.
Right.
Like, I've spent most of my USPSA career shooting Glocks, so like a rifle trigger is pretty nice. Like, even a shitty mil-spec AR trigger is fucking great compared to a Glock.
Yeah.
You know, if you really think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a match trigger compared to a Glock.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, like, that's, you know, and I always practice every year before I go hunting, you know, make sure I'm ready to do that as well.
Right.
Anything else you can think of in all that? Hunting's fun, dude. It really is.
I give it a try.
And then there's like the evening part where we sit around in the bougie tent that I got from my dad, and we drink whiskey and tell lies and make food and eat.
I'm down for that part.
Oh, here's another part. If you go out west where you're doing a lot of walking, you will be fucking tired.
Oh, I bet.
And you will be more hungry than you've ever been in your life.
Yeah.
The most hungry I've ever been is after walking all day. Like, when I shot my elk, I shot it at 9:30. I didn't love this, but it didn't die until 10:30 because it bedded down in grass and I couldn't get a clean shot to try to finish it off from 200 yards away. But it was bedded down. I knew it was fatally wounded because I could see all the blood on the ground, but it just took a while. So I shot it at 9:30. It died at 10:30. I didn't finish packing that bitch out until 11:30 that night.
Ugh.
I was fucking tired. The most exhausted I've ever been in my life. And I'm sitting in my truck and I don't want to move. And I've got my jet boil next to me. I'm like, it's time to make food. Oh shit, I don't have enough water to make my lasagna. Fuck, I'm going to have to go to the back of the truck and get water. And I almost just went to sleep because I was so tired. But I was also so hungry.
Right.
That the hunger won out over the sleep. So I went to the back of the truck to get water and did it. And yeah, it was out in Harding County, like one of the coolest places in the world I've ever been. It's in my state and it's like another planet.
Yeah.
It's so, like, South Dakota is such a shithole. You never want to come here. Just don't. Well, you want to come here and visit, just don't move here, okay? We like it the way it is.
I've heard about the legendary pheasant hunts.
Pheasant hunting it's a big deal in South Dakota. It doesn't trip my trigger, mostly because pheasant numbers, when I was a kid, there were pheasants fucking everywhere. And even further back, like when my dad was a kid, they were really everywhere. But the numbers are up this year. Like, it'll be decent around here this year, but usually you have to go farther west and north before you really get into them good. And a lot of the pheasant hunting that happens here is they're resorts. They release
canned hunts.
They pretty much, yeah. They release them in the morning to go out there, and then they, the people that paid for it, they go out there and they walk up and down these feed plots a couple times, and then everybody's got their limit. And then by 1 o'clock, they bring in the hookers, and they do the thing.
Yeah, and that's again my exposure to the hunting world is a lot of that. My dad helps with the bighorn sheep reintroduction in western Nebraska. And last year he drew so they sell one hunt and then they have a lottery for the other hunt, and he drew
the one they sell
lottery.
like an auction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And like some dude paid like $300,000 or something.
It's usually a 6-figure number in most states that do that.
And they try to sell it, or they sold it last year, and like the heir to Jimmy John's or something like that called him up and was like, "Hey, I'll double it, but like because the year my dad drew it, they ended up getting like the state record, and the heir to Jimmy John's or whatever called up and was like, "I'll double it, but like I want to guarantee I'm going to get a state record." And they're like,
"Well, they can't.
That's not how this
that.
works."
No.
And so again, I get exposed to that side of it.
There's ugliness to it, yeah, and like a lot of the, part of what got me interested was the meat eaters of the world, the Steven Rinellas of the world, and now I'm kind of against all that. I mean, first off, Meat Eater was a lot cooler show when it was actually about hunting. Now they talk about Clovis points and a lot of bullshit I don't give a crap about.
Right.
A lot of archaeology. It's like, okay, I get it's like adjacently related, but like half your shows are about fucking Clovis points now. Like, knock it off. Like, can we talk about elk hunting?
Right.
But like Steven Rinella's own brother, Matt, started an Instagram channel. It's called Hunt Quietly. And he basically is taking internet hunters to task and just lambasting them. And because it's ruining opportunity for what he considers to be real hunters. Now, the internet changed everything for everything. It made hunting more knowable to more people. And,
right.
Just from pure marketing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing because it reduces opportunity. So, because it's not like just because you're hunting, it doesn't mean you can go out and just shoot as many deer as you want. Like, I have licenses for 2 deer this year. Last year, I did a license for 1. Like, it just happens to be what I was able to apply for and get.
Right.
And now, if you're applying in multiple states, like, yeah, you could shoot a whole bunch of animals, but you're not like just going out to one cornfield and shooting 8 deer. That's not a thing that happens.
Right.
So, yeah. Anything else? And when you were talking about like the ethics of it, like the Jimmy John's guy, like, I'm torn when it comes to like those tags where it's like an auction where it's like the highest bidder, because it's kind of icky because it becomes about the money. Like, the rich guy gets to do it.
Right.
But a shitload of money went to conservation. Like,
yeah,
a lot of game and fish agencies are 100% fund. Like, South Dakota's Game, Fish, and Parks Agency is 100% funded by license sales, campsite sales, and the federal Pittman Robertson and Dingle Johnson money for fishing and hunting. And that's it. Like, they don't.
Right.
They do not get a budget from the state legislature.
Right, and I've heard there's a little controversy around. There's actually, because people, my generation isn't hunting as much as, say, your generation, and so they're actually worried about the conservation because of that.
Yeah, but there's also the ones that are hunting are like, they all want to be YouTube stars.
Yeah.
So there's that problem too. But
Yeah.
yeah. By the way, you can hunt with handguns. We talk mostly about pistols on the show. You can hunt with handguns. I hope to shoot a deer with my Glock 20 this year.
What? So I had a teacher when I was in school that he hunted with like I want to say it was like a long-barreled single-action 45 Colt. What if I'm hunting a deer?
45 Colt would be a decent round to shoot a deer with.
What would be the minimum round? Like, am I looking at?
Depends on the state. Like, there's no minimum. Well, I take that back. There is one minimum caliber, only for elk. Must be at least 243 or above. For deer, you can use a 223 on deer. And if you're close enough, a 223 will kill a deer as long as you put the bullet in the right place. But so for a handgun, the minimum, let me rephrase, for deer and antelope, the smaller of the big game animals we have, the minimum requirement for a handgun is the ammunition must have 500 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle.
Okay.
That's the standard. So a 10 millimeter has that down. You know, you're going to be in the 600s to maybe low 700s, depending on your load. And I've got gold dots, and I'm going to make them spicy. So I'm hoping to be up over 700 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. And that counts for a rifle, too. If it was a rifle, like a 223, you know, at the muzzle, like a 55 grain bullet has about 1,000 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle.
Okay.
So it would meet the requirement for elk, but they don't allow it because 223 is a horrible... A 243 is not a great option for elk, but, you know, women and children, that's why. But so, like, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to carry my Glock 20 with me when I'm hunting in Union County, and if I have the opportunity, I'm going to shoot it with the Glock 20. Otherwise, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to have a rifle with as well.
Right.
But,
So handgun hunting wise, if I'm hunting a deer, 500 foot-pounds, to put in perspective, are we like a 45 ACP, 40 Smith & Wesson, 357, 38, like that?
38 is definitely not okay. 9 millimeter, definitely not. I know a guy who shot a deer with a 45, and it took a long time to die, and he had to chase it. And I think most 45s under that standard would not be enough.
Okay.
Depending on load, you could get, ironically, with a lot of pistol bullets, like I was going for a lighter bullet because like a 357 that's like a 125 grain bullet going pissing fast would get there easier than a heavier bullet out of a 4-inch barrel, which is what I have in my 357. But like... I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page for 45 ACP. The lighter bullets are the ones that get you up over 500 foot-pounds, like a 185 grain jacketed hollow point plus P Underwood, 1,200 feet a second, 592 foot-pounds.
Okay.
A 90 grain 45 going 2,000 feet a second gets you 829 foot-pounds of energy.
Okay.
But you'd still want to be close. Now, what about my 230 grain FMJs? Well, yeah, they're going 835 feet a second. That's only 356 foot-pounds.
Yeah, and another part to this that we're not even acknowledging is like how spicy that shot is going to be to shoot. Like,
yes,
at like a 1,200 feet per second 45 is going to be like snappy and unpleasant to shoot.
Yeah, but you should only have to shoot once.
Correct. Hopefully, yes. And
the problem though
it.
is the practice leading up to the hunt. That's where people get into trouble because if they're getting flinchy, even with a rifle, you know, there's a big difference between a 308 and a 300 Win Mag.
Right.
And I've shot a 300 Win Mag once, but it was a giant, heavy precision rifle with a suppressor on it. It felt like a 223. But I've also shot my 308 that I just traded in for the Shadow 2 without a suppressor on it, and oh, damn, was that snappy.
Right.
Compared to when I had an M1A that was also 308, but it's a semi-auto and it was a heavy gun, and all those things play into that. So when it comes to like the cartridge selection that you're going to shoot with, as particularly a handgun, and a lot of handgun hunting for like big game, it's actually a rifle cartridge out of a pistol.
Right, like 30 carbine or
no. Like it'll be 308 out of a. It's just a Thompson Center used to make a lot of these.
Yeah,
where it's like a single shot 308 and you close it and it's got a pistol grip and you mount it on like a tripod and it'll have like a 15-inch barrel or whatever. And
yeah,
it would be like a 308 pistol. Like if you look up load data, like in the Hornady manual, there's 308 pistol load data.
Jesus.
But it's for those type of firearms. So it's not necessarily like a traditional handgun, just like legally a pistol that people will like to hunt with.
Huh. Interesting.
Now, having said that, is a 44 Magnum better than a 10 millimeter? Yep. Is a 500 Smith & Wesson better than a 44 Magnum? Uh-huh. On deer? Like, and then there becomes a diminishing return, like 300 Win Mag, that's more than you need for a deer. I mean, it'll do the job, but it's a bit much, you know.
What does overkill do? Like, I've heard of the concept of overkill.
It's just harder to shoot. That's all. It doesn't like do more damage, really.
Okay.
Depending on where you hit it. I mean, if you hit bone with a 300 Win Mag, like it'll fucking destroy stuff, in a way that say a 30-06 would not, just because it's so much faster. I've never really seen it up close, but mostly it's just harder to shoot. Like you're more likely to be flinchy if you've been shooting 30 or 300 Win Mag versus a 30-06. Like those are two very different guns to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's just more than you need. That's why I like shooting. Like a 6mm Creedmoor is plenty of gun for a deer.
Right.
I'm shooting. One other thing too that we could talk about briefly, I won't go too deep into it, is solid copper bullets for hunting. And I really hope to shoot my Black Hills deer with an all copper bullet, not because I'm afraid of, the condors or some other carrion eating a dead animal or eating the guts of the deer I shoot, and then my lead bullets get in there and they get lead poisoning and die or whatever. I'm doing it for meat care, because the solid copper bullets like that Barnes makes or Hornady makes or Federal makes, they don't shatter. They don't come apart the way lead bullets can. Even though they're jacketed, once they hit stuff, they kind of start coming apart. And I shot a doe one time that moved like right as I pressed the trigger. And instead of hitting it through the chest, I hit it high in the guts near the spine. And when the bullet hit a rib, it started disintegrating, and there were little tiny holes all through the back straps. And let me tell you, the back straps of a deer, elk, or antelope is the finest meat on the animal. And when you have little holes that were caused by little pieces of projectile causing damage, that's not good. I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
Because my meat was not as good.
And so these aren't FMJs, though?
No, they're expanding solid copper bullets. Like the whole thing is copper.
Okay.
It's a copper alloy. It's not the same copper as like a copper jacket around lead. It's a different alloy, but it's mostly copper. Like monolithic is the other thing they'll call it. And it's still designed to expand. And Barnes makes the TTSX. It's got a blue plastic tip that helps facilitate the expansion. Hornady came out with the CX bullets a couple years ago. They're good ballistic bullets, but then they also have the plastic tip to help push the hollow point open. But they retain most of their weight. Like you're not losing any of the bullet mass as it's going in. So typically you would get a lighter than normal bullet for the caliber. So like for a 30-06, normally that's like 150 to 180, for most deer loads. The bullet I want to get is I think it's 130 grain Barnes bullet is what I plan to do my reloads with, because it'll be going faster, so it'll expand faster. Like the bullet, like they're tough bullets. So like if the normal bullet you used is a 165, that for a 30-06, if that was a weight bullet that they had, that would not be the best bullet. You'd want it to be a lighter for caliber one using copper, probably.
All right, that makes sense.
Is that enough autism for you?
Yeah, we're definitely at like an 8 out of 10 on the autism.
Okay. I mean, there's some, but some of it's just like guts, and I think we should go here. You know, there's even like map reading and orienteering that goes with it too. You know,
Yeah.
That's what I love. Like looking at OnX, and I actually shot my elk in an area I spotted on a map that I thought would be good for elk. And I was really proud of that. That like I was smart enough to recognize this looks like a place elk would hang out.
Yep.
And that worked out. So, yeah. No, hunting's cool. It's not evil as long as you're doing it with a good heart, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. Not another shooting show, the hunting episode. We didn't even
Part two.
take two, more like it. I think we were more drunk the first time, so I think this one will be better than the first take was. That just disappeared from my computer. I have no idea what happened to it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is Not Another Shooting Show.